everyone. You are listening to Weddings Done Right Radio, the how-to for the I do. Today's episode is Rewind because we're talking all about the wedding video. This show is an insider's view of planning your wedding day. In each podcast or radio show, we interview wedding professionals to share their expertise about the business and the reality of the wedding day. I am your host, Jody Harris, CEO of Fun at Sight and Sound Events, and we are broadcasting from the wedding capital of the world. Yeah, you know it. It's Las Vegas, Nevada. And what I am looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is your support. And how you can support this show is to rate, write, review. It helps the algorithms. It helps us in the search engines. So please, make sure you take the opportunity to rate us, write a review. That would be great. But let's get down to today's show because it's all about videography. One of the most important things I think that you will need for your wedding. I know you'll need this. One of the most common post-wedding regrets that I hear from married couples is that they did not hire a wedding videographer for their wedding day. And it's the one way you're going to relive and recapture and rewind, the big day. So today I'm very excited. I have two wedding videography experts in the studio at World Headquarters. First, I'd like to introduce Mark Rosenberg. Mark is going to tell you a little bit about himself. He's a videographer and he'll touch base. Mark, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Jody. Thank you very much. Hi, Pat. It's great to be here. I've been in the video business for a long time, since about 1989. I did broadcast news for about 9 years, and then the past professionally, and then the past 15 years I've been with the City of Las Vegas as a producer and videographer and editor and predator, sometimes they call us.
Uh-oh, that's a different show.
Yeah. No. Combination of producer-editor.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
It's a cute title. And I've also, on the side, have shot wedding videos since 2004. I shot at the Venetian for about a year. We did the standard point-and-shoot videos there. And then I moved over here since 2005. And
here would be?
Sight and Sound, of course. So I've been shooting wedding and event videos for a long time, and I really enjoy it. I love it because every wedding is different, and it's a lot of fun, and you never know what to expect there. You never know what to expect. It's a lot of fun. The wedding videos are great. They're a lot of fun. I love meeting the brides and the grooms and the families. It's great.
Absolutely. Well, welcome. I'm so glad you are here on the show. And hear that, boys and girls, who's been with Sight and Sound since 2005.
Long time.
Absolutely. And my next guest is someone who I got started in the industry. Back in 1991, I started. This guy wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't for me. I taught him everything he knows. No, but he is a top event videographer. And it is my honor to introduce my other half, my better half of Sight and Sound Events, the one, the only, it's Pat Harris.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so glad to be here in my own studio.
And Pat, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started and your background?
Well, I don't have to tell you, you were there, but for everybody else, essentially I was actually started off as a wedding DJ, and I met this 6'1" Italian who was on vacation, and she worked for ABC in New York, and I managed somehow, I don't know how, but I managed to get her to move out to California with me, and we started producing, doing basically just local community television stuff, and I caught the bug, and I've been doing video ever since. Everything from, of course, the event video end of it that we've been doing since the 90s, as well as broadcast, which we, if you don't know, we produce a boxing show that's been on the air for 9 years now, as well as a motorcycle show. So our range of what I do, and is pretty wide. I pretty much anything legal, I guess you could say, is the best.
There you go.
Best description.
And I got to tell you, the wedding. We should shout out to somebody who might be listening to the show. we got to shout out to Mark Gold over at
Mark
24
Gold, yes.
Karat Sound
24
and
Karat
Video.
Sound and Video
Because if it wasn't for Mark Gold at 24 Karat Sound and Video in San Pedro, California, and his wonderful wife, Charlotte Gold.
Charlotte, that's right.
We would not be here today.
Yeah, I did work for him for probably, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And he taught me quite a bit and kind of got us going. And we didn't even start our business until we left Southern California and came here.
Yep.
But we spent a lot of years with Mark and Charlotte, and they taught us quite a bit. And we've been able to teach them a few things too, which is nice.
Absolutely. And I hope they're listening to the show. So shout out to the Golds, 24 Karat Sound and Video, but now on
In San Pedro, California.
In San Pedro, California. So guys, let's go right into the subject, because this is a near and dear subject of mine, because I got to tell you, it's so important to have a video, and so many brides and grooms, are not doing it anymore. And, Mark, why should somebody have a video?
Well, the videos are, I think, extremely important. I mean, photography is great and wonderful, but you don't get to see the people moving. You don't get to hear their voices, their sounds. And if you don't have that memory in a video, you're just never going to have it. Seeing people on video is so different than still photography, because most of the still photographers, they set up the shots. As with video, we never set up the shots. We're always about capturing what's happening at the event, and that's real. And you can't get that from still photography. You can get a little bit of it, I have to admit. You can get some, when they're, tossing the bouquet or cutting the cake. I mean, those are things that are going on that, yes, you can capture some of that, but you can't hear the people, what's being said. You can't hear the sounds from the production, and you can't catch the emotions, because that's really important. And the emotions of even just having a good time at your wedding. And how important is that? You can see that and feel that at every wedding.
Absolutely. And I think the difference is I like to tell people, you can't hang a wedding video on your wall.
Right.
Okay, you could, but it would be weird. Because it used to be DVDs and now it's turning towards flash drives or on the cloud. But you also can't hear grandma talk or your vows on a photograph. They're two different things. They're not a one or the other proposition. They accomplish similar things in a completely different manner, where photos are going to capture that instant in time. A video is going to capture the entire event. The big difference is, if you love a perfect example, if you love a movie, one of my favorite movies, The Godfather, watch it every time it's on. It's interesting to see photographs of screen captures from The Godfather. That's not the same as watching The Godfather.
Not at all.
So it's cool if you go in and you see some stills from it, but they're two different things. And I think that's the challenge, is where people think it's an either or. And I don't really need the video because I have photos. They're not the same thing. They're truly not the same thing.
And they're both very important.
Yes, they are critical.
You got to have both.
There are archival pieces, and what I mean by that is the vast majority of what you have at your wedding is gone the day after the wedding. Okay, the dress, if you keep it, great, but it usually gets thrown in a box, and you can pull it out and go, "Oh, that was my dress." Everything, the food is gone. We won't talk about where that goes. You've left the facility. The only things you have left after the wedding day, other than obviously your spouse, is going to be your photos and your video.
Yeah.
And those are what you actually hand down to multiple generations. You have to think of it as, think how cool it would be to have a video of your parents or your grandparents or your great-grandparents' wedding day. Yeah. That would be amazing. Being able to see people that haven't been around for years and see them when they were young and vibrant and having a great time and seeing what happened that day, that's what a wedding video does.
I'd like to add that, my parents are celebrating their 50th anniversary.
That's awesome.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. In 2 weeks, okay? I've been visiting San Diego over the past couple months, and when I go down there, we look at the old wedding pictures, and they're just amazing. And what I think about is, how cool would that have been if they had film or video? It would have been film back then.
Yeah.
But wow, that would have been awesome to see my grandparents, my aunts and uncles that most of them I don't even know.
Absolutely.
I don't even know. Yeah. But yes, I'm lucky to have the pictures, so I'm thankful for that.
Well, we got really fortunate, and then, what was it, about 10 years ago?
About 10 years ago.
About 10 years ago. We were just rummaging through Jody's parents' basement, because in New York, they all have basements. And we found a bunch of 8mm film. And we asked them, what is this stuff? And they're like, I have no idea. They didn't know what it was. They had forgotten that somebody there was an uncle or somebody.
It was my grandfather who filmed. It was my grandfather. My mother's father actually had the camera.
Had a 8mm film camera and filmed the wedding day, the ceremony and parts of the reception and
getting ready at the house, which was freaking amazing. Amazing seeing my mom.
See, and
my mom was like, what? She was
22?
20? Or no, she might have been 20.
No, by 20, yeah, she was 20.
And my Uncle Nicky was 16 years old.
He was a little kid.
And my grandmother, who's been dead since I've been like in the 4th grade. Amazing.
Yeah, so you got to relive all that. And what we did was for their anniversary, we didn't tell them we were doing it, but we transferred everything over onto a DVD, and we said, hey, we got a little something for you here. And they were in tears watching it. They were absolutely in tears watching it. And it's one of those things where you can't replace those memories. And it was, and he was just like, oh my God, I can't believe, look how young we were. And,
he got depressed, actually, my father. My father was like, don't show me.
Yeah, that's how your dad is. Yeah, he's Mr. Doom and Gloom.
But he did love it. I mean, he did. His dad, who passed away when he was young, was in it. I mean, the entire family. But here's the one thing. Here's how technology has come a long way, boys and girls. There was no sound to that.
There was no sound.
Now you've got audio. You can hear grandma saying, I love you. You can hear that stuff. You can hear your dad saying, I hope you have a lot of kids because payback is, that's what we got on our video.
That's what's on our wedding video, yeah. So we got those memories and unfortunately Jody's father passed a few years ago, but we still have all those wonderful memories.
Absolutely. And how cool was it when we walked down the aisle that everybody stood up and started cheering and we were waving to people like we won, the Super Bowl. It was incredible. I can describe that to you guys on the radio, but what I can't do is you unless you see the video, it comes back to life. Yep. And that's why the word investment, you're investing in your memories. And you may not think that you'll ever watch it, because I love that line, Pat and Mark. Yeah. I get this all the time. So you having a wedding video? No. Why? We're never going to watch it.
Wrong.
Exactly.
Honestly, even a bad wedding video you're going to watch more than once. Even a bad, you may not watch it as often, you may not be able to stick with it for as long, but even a bad one you're going to watch more than once because it's still your memories.
But you guys produce great videos. And I'm not just saying that. I don't do the editing here. I've seen a lot of the videos that you guys have put together from the video that I shot, and I go, wow, I shot that? You guys make me look really, really good.
You look at the video
and I'm not trying to sell anything.
We're not here to sell anything.
No, but what I'm saying is that when a piece of video is edited right, you will watch that over and over. And you will enjoy it and just treasure that moment. You will just treasure it.
Yeah, and you just can't, you spend all the money on the decor and the flowers and everything else. That's all gone, but that still lives on forever in all those moments. Because trust me, every time we watch our wedding video, we see things and we go, I forgot about that.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
You do. You forgot that you see yourself doing something and you forgot that you did it.
And the first time you watch it, it's the most outer body experience I could ever explain to you, because you were there and you remember those things, but you're actually seeing yourself do them. Like, wow, to watch yourself walk down the aisle. How could you gyp yourself of having that opportunity? How do you've been planning, you drop all this money on your wedding day, you've got this gorgeous dress, you're walking down the aisle with your uncle or dad or mom or grandfather, and you don't have it on tape. You're letting Uncle Charlie do it, or you've got somebody's iPhone. Guess what? It doesn't look the same.
It's not the same. And it doesn't. The quality of the video shot at a wedding is 10 times, maybe 50 times better. It really is. I mean, people don't understand that. They think they can pull out their little phones and take a video. Oh, it's just as good. No.
Well, my iPhone's HD. Yeah, it's not the same.
No. There's a huge quality difference, and Pat knows all about that. He's the technical guy.
Yeah, that's the nerd part.
So let's talk about the Uncle Bob. Okay. Uncle Bob, you're not going to spend the money on, having a professional videographer do it, but because Uncle Bob has got this new digital SLR camera.
Digital SLR, yeah.
And he's going to film your wedding video for free. Mark, and then Pat, what is one of the disadvantages of having an Uncle Bob film your wedding?
Well, unless he's a video professional, that's the first problem. I mean, you have to know what to really anticipate and how to control the shots and how to frame properly. There's a huge difference from a family member shooting than a professional shooting. It's night and day. And I have friends who think they know how to shoot, and they don't. I mean, they're just friends, and that's great. You can still shoot, point and shoot, but you don't understand framing, following action, anticipating the next shot, having sound. Absolutely. Sound is very important, of course. Sound is very, very important. You have to hear, you have to have the proper elements. Might maybe be the groom, or maybe it's the priest or the rabbi or the speaker. You have to know how to get the right sound into that video camera. Otherwise, it's not the same as a professional.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing is it's always a bad idea, regardless of what it is the service they want to provide, to have a friend or family member do a service for you, or to do it yourself. I think the worst trend that we've seen in the last decade has been the do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Because why do you want, this is supposed to be your day, and you're killing yourself working 20-hour days, stressed out, ready to have a nervous breakdown. And the reality is your family or your friends want to enjoy your wedding day. They want to have a good time. So at some point, that gift that they gave you turns into, I'm just going to go have a fun time and drink, and now everything's like all shaky. But ultimately the thing is they really don't want to do this. They're trying to give you a gift that's nice, but it's never going to turn out the same as if somebody's doing that for a living. And the reality is, as talked about, are they a professional? Not only the technical aspects, we can go into a million technical aspects to where you don't know what we're saying. And as Jody would say to me on many occasions, can you say that in English now? The technical aspects of it are enormous. Wedding videos are far harder than any of the broadcast work that we do. We go out and cover fights. We go out and interview fighters. We go out to the racetrack. We do all these things, all 10 times easier than filming a wedding. Weddings are the toughest technically of any type of production that we do.
And why is that? Because
we have no control over the environment, no to little control over the environment. We are supposed to be a fly on the wall, whereas if we're filming something that we're in charge of, we put the camera where we want it for it to look the best. You don't get that. In fact, most of the time you're put into a position where it's absolutely the worst position you can put the camera in, and you still have to make it work. That's where being the professional is. You know that, okay, you're in a church. This is where you're going to be. How do I make the best of this? And maybe you've done some pre-planning. You realize, okay, well, we had to put a camera in the back as well, whatever it is. But that's what a video professional does. The most important aspect of it, though, is that if you're not a video professional, not only do you not know the technical aspects of it, you don't understand the storytelling aspects of it. Because no matter what type of video you produce, I don't care how good technically you are, and then that is important. Technical expertise is important. If you don't know how to tell a story, if you're not a storyteller, ultimately those are the videos that people talk about that they're only going to watch once because it didn't tell a story. It was just rolling footage on things that happened.
And that's an excellent point, Pat, because a lot of times the story changes. All of a sudden you think it's about the bride and groom, and obviously it is. But sometimes there's a little side story where you have a grandmother who all of a sudden nobody expected to go on the dance floor, or nobody expected to make a speech, or do a special dance with a great-grandson or something that just, oh my God, and everybody is staring at that, and that's a moment. And to have that on video, to capture that on video with the sound and the movement of your grandmother or whoever it is, that's just the best. and you'll want that on video. You can capture some of that on film, on a still camera, but really, that's amazing.
You bring up a very good point. I remember an episode of Cheers. Do you remember the episode with Cliff? It was Cliff and
but it should be played at every sales meeting.
Absolutely. Cliff and Norm decided that they were going to videotape somebody's wedding at the bar
for $50, I think.
Yeah, something like that. And what happened was, everything that you just explained, Mark, happened at this wedding. Grandma got up out of her wheelchair. She hasn't gotten out of the wheelchair in like 10 years and walked over. And just these incredible things. Like, I'm so glad we've got this on tape. And guess what? There was no tape in the camera. So, I mean, that's what you get when you get Uncle Bob to do your wedding. Right. And guess what?
I forgot to hit record. Damn.
Yeah, I forgot to hit record.
Well, and he's looking for different. Uncle Bob is not thinking ahead of what is really going to happen. And when a professional, we've covered these weddings over and over, and we know, at least for a good part of it, we have a very good idea what's next, even though it might not be scripted. And that's key to a good videographer, is understanding that, hey, that could happen next, and we better be ready for that. And we are. 99.9% of the time, we're going to catch it.
You have to be able to predict what's going to happen next and be in the right place, and you have to be there before it happens. That's the big challenge. That's when we talk about in the DJ section, when you have a DJ that's absolutely horrendous and doesn't tell anybody what's going on, that affects the videographer worse than the photographer. Photographer can come in halfway through the first dance and still get what they need. We need to be there before the song starts.
And that's a very good point, too. The DJs that are great work really well with the photography and videography staff. No question. When all three work together, you will have a great wedding, a really great wedding. And I did one for you guys about a week ago. I've never worked with this DJ before, but he was on top of things. And he communicated with us exactly what was going to happen. I just asked him, hey, just give us a 30-second warning if there's something that's planned, and make sure we're in place for those things. And that works really well. Now, when I work with Jody, I don't even have to think. Honestly.
Thank you.
When I hear I get to work with Jody, and I'm just saying, Jody works great with all staff, and she makes sure that all staff understands, no matter who it is. And it doesn't even matter. It's not even video or photography. Even if you didn't hire the photography staff, you're still letting them know. And even the wedding coordinator, because they have to it really is a team effort when we're out there. It's not one person. It's not the DJ. It's not the host. It's not the wedding planner. It's not the photography or the video. We all work together as a team, and that's really important when we're out there.
Yeah, getting the big picture is important for all the vendors, and I think a lot of people lose that. How many times as the DJ do you have photographers that don't even come up and introduce themselves?
Never,
And then you got to try and find them.
Isn't it? It's amazing. I'm seeing this trend more and more. Back when I started in the industry a few years ago,
themselves.
People would come up and introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Cindy so-and-so. I'm the photographer, or I'm so-and-so, the videographer. Nowadays, it's really sad. I did a wedding on Saturday where we were not the DJ and we didn't have anything to do with the photography. Neither team member came up to me to introduce themselves to me. I introduced myself to them.
Yeah.
I waited a while, but they didn't do it. And I would think that, we're all on the same team together. Yeah. We should work together. So it's really,
Getting somebody that understands that is really critical. Getting a whole team.
That's why experience is so important.
Not just booking the videographer, but when you book all your services, you got to book people who understand the big picture and who aren't just focused on their job and nothing else.
And I'm okay with working with a newbie, working with somebody new in the industry. Absolutely. We all have to start somewhere, right? We were all new. Yeah. But I think for any of the newbie, even videographers or photographers that are listening to our show, in addition to our, couples, our newlyweds, it's important that you do introduce yourself to the rest of the team. I think it makes a big difference. And a bride and groom, don't hold back. Don't hesitate because this videographer or DJ or photographer have never worked together.
Yeah.
You're bringing together a team, so that's my biggest.
As long as everybody works together nice, everybody plays nice in the sandbox, that doesn't matter if they've worked together 1,000 times or 0 times, things will go well.
Yeah.
And being a videographer is a very responsible job. It's very responsible.
Yes.
I mean, there are times, Mark and Pat, that you guys barely get a bite to eat because they feed you last.
Right.
And you already have to be working.
And then you got to be working.
Yeah.
So it's a very responsible job. When Uncle Bob is at the bar having, a glass of wine or a Jack and Coke, you're having a Coke or a bottle of water. We are paid to be at the wedding to do our job. We are not paid to dance. We are not paid to eat or drink.
Doesn't hurt to feed your staff though.
Exactly. so it doesn't hurt. That's always because let me bring that up.
Yeah.
You are brides and grooms. These people, your photographers and videographers, are with you for a very long time.
Oh yeah,
long time, and long before the event even starts.
You got to get to the studio, get the gear, drive out there. So you need to feed your vendors. I mean, you want to feed the DJ, that's great, not a big deal, but definitely, no doubt about it, spend the money, get them a vendor meal.
And it doesn't have to be a big meal, just a salad.
But here's
really,
but here's the
sandwich
thing.
and an apple.
But here's the thing, and Pat will, and both of you guys will join in on this one. Be in the same room as the activity.
Yes.
We used to work. Can I say? They're not around anymore. Can I say their name? Can I say that hotel?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. We used to do weddings at the Ritz-Carlton at Lake Las Vegas, and they were notorious. They're not around anymore, so that's why I can say Ritz-Carlton.
As a company, they are, but the
Lake Las Vegas, but they were notorious for feeding their vendors on a floor below all the wedding action.
Never in this room.
Separate room, down the hallway, different floor. You're out of the room. I mean, like Mark, you said somebody can unscripted just decide to get up and give a toast. Your best friend from high school is got the courage to say how much they love you, and your videographer is downstairs at a vendor meal, down the hallway, around the corner. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And nobody's going to go get them.
Why not? The DJ can't leave. He's not going to run down there and get them. That's going above and beyond.
Banquet staff's not going down there.
No.
But I don't get why they won't put us in the same room.
The challenge is, and here's the thing, is when in certain facilities they look at the videographer, photographer, DJ, they look at them the same as the wait staff. Their wait staff is not allowed to eat in the same room as the party, so they don't want anybody else eating in the same room. The reality is that's not the case. We're not the wait staff. We are professionals that are hired to cover an event, and it really is critical that we are there for things when they happen. We've even had, with that different hotel, perfect example, they were feeding us, fortunately, in the next room, but we were in the room with the band, with the photographer, and there's an air wall separating us, and thankfully it was an air wall, not a real wall, otherwise it wouldn't hurt it. And this is what we hear. It's mumbling. We're like, is somebody talking on the PA? The whole band is here. It's like, who's that? Oh no, we have one of our guys. I'm like, let's go look. The maid of honor decided she was going to give the toast, and she ran up to the guy who they'd left there just to play the piano, the keyboard, while the rest of the band was on break. Said, I want to do a toast, and he handed her a microphone, and we missed half of the toast. And, you're not going to go back and replace that. And it was like, what the heck? Now, had we been downstairs, never would have caught any of it. We never would have known. So it is critical to keep, and I know some facilities don't like it. I think it's incorrect thinking. We're not your wait staff. We don't work for you. We're there to cover this event, and let us do our jobs to the best of our ability. Nobody none of the guests are upset that the videographer is eating with them. You're with them all day.
And we're not going to shoot people eating.
No.
I mean, nobody wants to see that kind of video. But if we're close enough to just last week actually was a perfect example. We were just beyond the bar, but no walls were between us, and it was perfect. I could hear everything. We could kind of keep an eye on things, and the DJ was near us, so he was keeping an eye on things. So everybody was together close enough that if something were to happen, we could see somebody on the dance floor or see somebody make a toast. We could run up there and try to get as much as we can. But it's also, this is a tiny, tiny break for staff too. That, it's important to sit down for 5-10 minutes and
absolutely.
And get our bearings. And now, it was hot. it's been welcome to Vegas. It's pretty warm.
Yeah.
So we were doing a wedding outside, and it was very, very warm. And then, I mean, we're talking a lot of humidity. So we were pretty burnt after about an hour of being out, over an hour of being outside. Now remember, we're not shooting just the ceremony. We go out there, we set up, we wait, and then we shoot the ceremony. After the ceremony, a little bit of video, just as it's ending, and then there's pictures right away. So then we shoot. We're still outside, and the cocktail party is outside. So all that is outside. If you're planning a wedding, from April to October, and it's outside, you have to think about weather in this town where it's a little bit warmer, and
anywhere that it's hot. Think
anywhere,
about the
yeah,
South.
think
I
about
can't imagine
Miami.
doing it in Miami.
Whoa.
Our
my
friend
goodness.
Jeff Green from 84 West Studios. How many shirts does Jeff change into in Miami?
He takes, I think, 4 or 6
Oh, my
shirts
God.
per
Yeah.
event, something like that, because you're just drenched.
Luckily, it's a dry heat here.
Yeah. There it's
In Las
95, 100% humidity. I don't
Yeah, I
know how to
guess.
do it.
And from what you just said, Mark, it's it's not scripted. It's not like a movie. In a
No.
movie, you've got a script. You know what's going to happen next.
have
At a
an-
wedding, we kind of touched on it
We
earlier.
have an outline.
Right. We
That's
have
it.
a timeline,
Yes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's where the experience comes in. So with that, Pat, how does one go about hiring a videographer? How do you find somebody?
Well, I think it is, obviously, it's a very critical choice. It's a very important choice. One, you have to come up with a budget. The nicer the video, the more you're going to pay. Okay, just plain and simple. Nice and cheap are mutually exclusive. Okay, you do not get a nice video for cheap. The thing is, there's a lot of work that goes in the video. Far more work in post-production than any other of your services. Some of our biggest packages have over 100 hours of post-production in them. If you were to do an equal for equal, if I was to charge a wedding client the same rate I charge a commercial client per hour I put in, these wedding videos would cost $30,000 and $40,000. But they're not costing that. They're costing a few $1,000s. So they're actually getting amazing bargains from most event videographers. What I mean by nicer is, the more time you spend editing, the fancier the editing, the more time that goes into post-production, the more that this is going to cost, the more cameras that you have. Now, if somebody's giving you 3 cameras and all these great features and it's $800, you need to worry, because that means that all their people are working for $10 an hour. So where's their skill level?
And the skill in the editing has to
Editing is
questionable.
And here's the thing: is editing is an art. So is filming. You can fake some stuff in editing. If you have not so great footage, you can work around some of it. But in order to get an amazing final piece, it has to be filmed properly. In order for you to get the right, both people have to be looking to tell a story and know how to capture everything. So you really have to sit down and don't look at a demo. Let me tell you something, most everybody in this business does demos, that's great. The worst videographer in the world can sit down after they've done 10 or 15 or 20 weddings and come up with a good demo, because they can pull 10 seconds off the best weddings they've done and create some amazing work. Yeah. Look at a finished product, the product that they deliver their client. If I'm going to give you one piece of advice, that's one of the biggest ones.
You know what? I don't know if you guys get this request or not, but I think couples, when they're coming and they're thinking about doing video, I hope they would say to whoever they're going to do video with, I want to see your last wedding. Show me your last video wedding. I don't care who it is. Good. Just show me show me a couple minutes worth. I want to see that video.
Yeah. The last wedding. I think that's great.
I'm telling you what, that last wedding is their best video. Most likely. Yeah. Most likely. Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that, because it's the last video they shot. Yeah. Right. So all their stuff is current.
Right.
Yeah. It's not dated from 1995.
It's a current style.
Right. It's a current style, current edit.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you want to see the different portions. You want to see what a ceremony looks like. Not only what it looks like, but what it sounds like.
Yes.
Because if Mark, the hardest part for us, sound-wise, are the ceremonies, because we have so little control over what we can do, and churches can be really challenging.
Yes.
So, it's...
And echoey.
And how about those fountains over there? The Four Seasons, when they turn on the fountains, the gargoyle fountains at the Four Seasons.
Here's a little top tip for you here. Fountains are beautiful. They sound like static on your video. You want
take
proof?
special audio editing to remove
Watch a video of just a fountain and then turn around and not look at the picture. What is it? What do you hear? So that can be an issue.
Yes.
And it can be loud. Fountains are a lot louder than you realize.
Oh, and they're beautiful. I mean, they make a beautiful, elegant photograph.
But if they're not in the picture, if I'm focused on the bride, all I'm hearing is the sound from the waterfall.
Right.
So all I hear is... that's, so that can be, when we've had to actually, there's a few facilities we actually have to have them turn the fountains off because the fountain is right behind where they get married and it's loud, and it just ruins the sound for all of it. So listen to what the sound is like. Can you hear the toast? Are you hearing the actual sound from the wedding, or is everything just a music bed with the pictures? Because when somebody doesn't know how to do audio, when all their wedding videos are just music beds that they lay down audio tracks and they cut video over it because the sound that they recorded is horrible. Look for real stuff. Look for full-length videos
and real sound. I mean,
sound.
Like you said, real sound makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference in a video. And if they're just putting, music beds underneath, are you hearing the ceremony, or are you hearing the dancing? Because it's a feel out there. It really is. It brings you into that. The video will bring you the memory.
It should bring you back.
You may not watch the video the second you get it, or maybe you will.
I think they will.
They probably would. Okay.
But like 3 months from now, 4 months from now,
you might want to look at it again.
Yeah. Right.
And you know what? You might look at it again when somebody passes, or another event happened. Like all of a sudden you realize Johnny is now, 5 years later, he was 5, now he's 10, and you're looking at little Johnny's 5.
That's the main thing. That's the main thing. Yeah. I mean, I love it when I get phone calls from brides that say to me, my kids just saw my wedding video for the first time, and their daughter is like 8 or 7, and
they weren't around.
Yeah, and they weren't born yet. How cool is that?
Or they were 2.
Yeah, I do get those, and I do get those calls on a regular basis, and I would love to get those people into the studio and ask them questions. And talk to them.
But so to be seeing somebody's work, and obviously their actual work, not a demo. Stay away from the demos. You're obviously going to have budgetary concerns. This is something where the more you spend in general, the better the results. The larger the event that you have, the more cameras you're going to have to cover it. So be realistic. If you're doing a wedding in a Catholic church with 300 people at a giant facility, one camera is just not going to cut it, okay? Because they're going to ultimately put that first camera in a horrible position. They're not going to be able to see most of the action. At least for the ceremony, in certain circumstances, at least for the ceremony, you need minimally 2 cameras, and in some places 3. So that's something you have to look at budgetary wise.
But what about those videographers that go out there no matter what size your wedding is and say, we shoot on 3, 4. I mean, I did a wedding one time when there were 4 camera people for a wedding that was 100 people.
Yeah, it can get.
I took one camera person out. I mean, I couldn't get by them. I was the MC.
A lot of it, here's the thing, and here's the thing too is that if you know what you're doing, you can have 8 cameras and not be in the way. Okay. The challenge is that you have companies that don't get it, and they want to be right there in front of everybody, and there are cameras on sticks in the middle of on dolly in the middle of the dance floor, and they have 3 of those. They're rolling cameras around the dance floor. They have a 6-foot basically base, and they're rolling it around, bumping into people. Okay, that's not what you want. You certainly want somebody, and we've actually gotten complaints. And I remember I told you somebody complained about you once because they didn't see you. I'm like, how is that a complaint?
Yeah,
really.
I didn't see him all night. I'm like, but we covered everything. Yeah, but I didn't see him. I'm like, you're complaining that you didn't notice the videographer that captured all the events.
I'm
like, wow. I'm like, that's actually a compliment. And then they sat down and they thought, they go, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you want them to be? Because they were so used to having people in their face that were obtrusive.
Because they've been to friends' weddings and they were even turned off by. That's another reason why people get turned off a wedding video.
Because the videographers are in their face. How do they get it? Do they understand having to be there to get the shot, but not being so obtrusive that they become part of the event?
Blocking the action. Yeah. No, we're there to capture the action and to not not be seen as much as possible. It's not easy, trust me. On small dance floors, it can be very difficult.
It can get tight, and there's certain situations, that you're always going to be part of what's going on.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you have to get somebody who knows how to be there but not be there. Right. And certainly, like for the reception, honestly, most receptions we can cover with one camera. Because we can move around. We're generally handheld. If they need 3 cameras for a reception of 100 people, it means what's happening is they're not very good at filming it, and they need lots of footage in order to come up with enough to actually show, each event. They need all 3 cameras, because if they had to rely on one, it would look horrendous.
If they're going out there with more than 2,
exactly.
It's just overkill.
For
it's
a reception, and absolutely.
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it would have to be like 1,000 people wedding.
Yeah,
If there was
absolutely.
1,000 people, okay, maybe.
You guys talked about like unobtrusive and not being in people's faces. And I think a lot of that has to come due to lights and lighting. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, if the room is dark, it isn't going to look that good on the video. Talk to us a little bit about lighting. How important is lighting and I think mostly at the reception more than the ceremony? Because you never see lights off in a ceremony, but you always
Sometimes we have people that have rooms that they want a candlelit ceremony, and honestly, that's going to look horrendous on video because there's just simply not enough light to film it. So lighting is critical. Without proper lighting, I don't care how good the camera is, it's going to look horrible. The reality is the vast majority of what we film in a reception, we're filming within the range of our camera light, which is generally less than 10 feet, is where most of what we're filming is. Means that we can be far enough away that we're not in their face, but close enough to where we can actually film it. Also, when we're filming things, and this is something that I've taught for years to all our videographers, is we're generally not standing in one spot the whole night. You'll see some videographers set up a tripod in the corner of the dance floor, and they have a big giant light, and they sit there. Well, the people who are annoyed by cameras know to avoid that spot, and they just go somewhere else, and you never see them. The people who are hams are in front of the camera all night, so what ultimately you get is the same people dancing in front of you all night. The trick is to move around. If you're annoying, you're going to annoy somebody, plain and simple. There's no way to avoid it. It's just how long are you annoying them for? Because when you're in a dark room and a light flashes on you, you're going to notice it. But after a while, honestly, that's initially in the night. After a while, people lose. That's when they talk about they didn't see you there.
Yeah.
They kind of lose that perspective of you being there because they're used to it now. At first, but after a while, they don't even pay attention.
I've noticed about 30 minutes into the dancing and the ceremony and in the reception, about 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden, I disappear. And most people totally ignore me for the most part. You always get a few hams, but people who want to jump in front of the camera no matter what. But that's why, like you said, Pat, we have to move around. And if we don't move around, we're not going to get the other people. And you want to see as many people as possible on your video. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Very, very important. I look around, and like if I even see grandma and grandpa who don't get up and are just sitting at the table and watching, I might even shoot a little bit of them, because you know what? That's important too. Even though they're not on the dance floor or they're not participating, there's some people that don't participate. But I still think I will try to get a little shot of them to add to the video, and that could be used as a cutaway easily.
And that's his experience. That's the experience right here. Mark is experienced. He knows this stuff. You're
telling the story of the day, and part of the story is your family members. So if you don't know that, you're just filming dancing. And when people talk about it, I only watch it once. If you have 3 hours of dancing on a final video, you're not going to sit through all that. Okay? Because generally you're watching the same people over and over again. If you've moved around and you're capturing little bits of a lot of people, you can have far less of it, still see all the dancing, but in a condensed version to where it's watchable. And that's the big thing, is how do you make this watchable? We do not need a 3-hour epic, okay? If the final production is 3 hours long, you're going to sit your bridal party through that? They're going to come over and watch 3 hours worth?
Pat, on a basic video, what's the average length?
On a basic video, even on the most basic ones, they generally don't run more than an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes. If it's a long ceremony or there's a lot of activity, You can get up to 2 hours long, but that means because they wanted the entire ceremony, and the ceremony was 45 minutes or 50 minutes long. They had long toasts. There's certain things that really extend it. You know, we've done parties where they had 35, 40 minutes of toasts.
Yes.
That makes the video longer.
Are you seeing,
if it's a basic.
Are you seeing a lot of people asking then for raw footage? I mean, what's your feelings on the whole raw footage?
We've always had people ask for raw footage. The big challenge with raw footage is it's raw footage. It's not pieced together. You haven't adjusted the audio. A lot of what we do in post is it's cutting out all of the stuff while we're waiting for something to happen. It's adjusting the audio, the image quality, putting together the clips together in a logical fashion. So raw footage is okay if you want to have it, great, but you're going to watch it and it's not going to be that interesting to watch. It's like kind of watching go back to a movie. If you watched all the dailies from a movie. Would you get the story? No, you'd see the same line over and over again, and it's the final production that really is what tells the story. Raw footage is that raw footage.
It's not really that exciting.
No.
Got it.
No, it's not really
What
exciting.
about the big buzzword I'm hearing around town? Hey, I'm hearing around town.
Everywhere.
The big buzzword that I'm, hearing is cinematography. Videographers do not want to be called wedding videographers anymore.
Yeah.
They are wedding cinematographers. What's the difference?
Well, janitors want to be called sanitary engineers too. So, although our skill level goes beyond a janitor, I would just say that's more just wanting a fancy term and not accepting what you are. You're a wedding videographer. We are not, as wedding videographers, we are not cinematographers. And I'm going to have 1,000 of these guys with their huge egos. They're going to yell at me and call me names. The reality is a cinematographer is somebody who makes cinema. That is something that is generally scripted and is designed to be viewed in wait for it, a cinema, a movie theater. It's basically, in general, a scripted movie that is designed to be shown to the public. We do not do that. We are certainly storytellers. A lot of the skill sets are the same. In fact, some of the skill sets are some of what we do is much more difficult than what it is for a cinematographer. We don't have 1,000 people on set to do everything for us. We're a one-man band for the most part. So it doesn't take away from the skill of what we do. As I said, wedding videos are harder than any other type of work that we do. But don't call yourself what you're not. And don't get locked into don't book somebody because they call themselves a cinematographer and somebody else didn't, because that's just somebody giving themselves a fancy name because they don't think wedding videographer sounds cool enough. Just look at the root of the word, cinematography. That's cinema. This is not cinema.
We're videographers. We shoot the live action.
Live action, exactly.
Live action.
We're event videographers, if you want to do it that, because we do a lot of different types of events. We're filming events. Yep. And we're filming, and we don't have control. They're unscripted. They are not designed for mass distribution. You're not going to go down to United Artists Theater and pay $10 to watch somebody's wedding video or wedding movie. Again, I think in a lot of industries, we just try to give ourselves fancy names so that we sound more important. Don't get caught up in the vernacular. Focus on the meat and potatoes, what we do.
And music on your video.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about music. I want to put Shania Twain's From This Moment on my wedding video. And I want you guys to post it up on my YouTube channel. Can it be done?
Well, it can be done. It won't stay very long. But the reality is that the music industry has caught up. For many years, it still is a gray area because they base copyrights and usage fees on the audience size. The thing is back when we didn't have YouTube, the audience size was 8 people, 10 people, 20 people, because that was your family members watching it. Now you have videos like our friend David Robin, that had that video go viral of his that had millions of views, and all of a sudden Black Eyed Peas label went, oh.
Okay, now let me clarify something. Do they use the actual CD audio, like something off of iTunes?
Yeah, you're pulling a track.
Okay,
yeah.
But when you edit, Pat, do you use music you've bought, right?
Yeah, I'm using.
So you can post your videos.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've had to do that because
that's a big difference.
Because YouTube will now, they have, just like if any of you have smartphones and you have Shazam. The technology that goes into Shazam that identifies the movie just by hearing it through your phone
song.
is the same technology that YouTube uses to scan all of the videos to go up. If they hear copywritten music, guess what? That audio gets pulled.
But as a small caveat, if you're pulling live music, can you use live music that the DJ's playing?
They don't have issues with live music, even though it still falls into kind of a similar category. They can say that, but again, we're not laying down an actual track,
and it's not enough of it. It's kind of snippets. It's like if I'm creating, a highlight reel for Mark and Nancy's wedding video, and I'm cutting it to "Dirty Bit" by the Black Eyed Peas, and I'm posting that on Facebook and YouTube and any social media.
Vimeo,
they're going to come after me. BMI, ASCAP is going to come after me, which has happened to a lot of our videographer friends
in the last few years.
And that's been a
YouTube generation, a YouTube issue. The reality is anymore is as video producers, we can no longer risk putting copywritten music on wedding videos. Now, there are services that you can go online, you can send in a request for a song, pay a flat fee, tell them that you're using it for a wedding video. You still cannot post that on YouTube. But you can put it on there, that's extra cost, time. So now the number of songs that you can use is severely limited, and there's extra fees and time involved. So there's going to be an issue. But ultimately, now for us, we just simply don't use any copywritten music. So if a client asks us if they want a specific song, we have to say no.
And there are companies out there that we've met through our video association that have royalty-free music, and some artists have actually agreed to let their songs be represented by this particular company. You pay a lot more because now you're buying the copyright from this company who got the from so you're Brad Paisley.
Yeah, you're looking at generally, and it's not a lot of money, but if you're not putting it up on the internet, you're looking at, $20 or so a song. In order to use it. That's just the fee for the usage. Once it goes on the internet, the price goes up considerably, so don't try not to post it yourself. But yeah, you really do need to think about that. And honestly, the music is setting the mood. I've had a lot of clients pick music in the past that the music actually made the video worse.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Just because you like the song doesn't mean it works for the video. And I've had people say, well, what song are you going to use on the video? I have no idea until I edit it.
That's right.
And that's part of the storytelling is, does the music match what I'm trying to say? So there's plenty of decent buyout music that sets the proper tone, along with used with enough natural sound that creates a great feeling for it, that you can really, produce something and not get in trouble, because there is an actual financial risk by using copywritten music.
And does it come back on the bride and groom as well? If
they post it, yeah.
They would also
post it, yeah.
Yeah. What about this new trend in cameras? There's the DSLR camera, and a lot of
digital
SLR, and a lot of people are asking for that. Like brides and grooms are asking for it. Tell them a little bit about
digital SLR is essentially a still camera. The digital SLR that shoots video was actually designed. That actually was a result of news photographers that wanted to be able to get video footage at sporting events, but they were not allowed to bring in a video camera. So you could bring in a still camera, and then you can take your stills, but then you can roll a little bit of video so that you could use in a piece afterwards.
Newspapers use them too.
Exactly, because they'll throw interweb-based stuff on there.
Right, they like to throw a little video on their website.
So they have a very interesting look. They have almost a film look because they have a very shallow depth of field, which means only a small part of the frame is in focus. So they have an interesting look to them. The challenge to them is that they're primarily there to take stills, not video. So the sound is not really good. You're constantly chasing focus, which means if the picture is out of focus as often as it is in focus. That's why a lot of people that shoot digital SLRs have 4 cameras, because half the time their image is out of focus. The stability of them is questionable. There's no servo zoom on them, so there's no smooth push in on somebody, no wide, not a smooth pull out and showing up. You're doing it by hand. So there are advantages and disadvantages to them. The big disadvantage too is other than the audio, which is a huge for me, and there are ways around that, but that create more work. Is the fact that they have 12 to 14 minute record time limitations. So if you're filming a 45-minute ceremony, you have to start and stop your camera 3 different times. So you have to, and sometimes more, because you have to figure out where it's not critical to stop the camera and start it again. Hopefully it's not in the middle of the vows. Hopefully it's when they're walking over to light a candle or something. But there are record time limitations. They tend to be a little shakier. So you can get some really. I love the look of digital SLRs for what we call for more the like photo sessions and
Artsy,
stylized the stylized portions.
Right.
Generally, for the long form stuff, they're not a good camera.
No, and have you seen those cameras, the DSLRs? A lot of the videographers that will take them out, they're almost now to get to what we shoot with one camera.
Yeah.
It looks like they've added 15 things to the camera.
Oh yeah, they require a lot of add-on.
They're lighter, yes, but they require so much added equipment to get to what we have with one camera, really nice camera that takes really great HD video. There's really no difference. Big difference is what you were saying on the style, and really, I totally agree on the focus. They have such a tight focus. It's amazing what the picture looks like. Now, and just one other thing, I think if you're doing, sometimes I know we've done this in the past, and when you shoot a video of couples, bride and grooms, before the wedding, like a few days before, like if you're, like you said, a special video where just the bride and groom, or maybe the parents, or the
and we want a specific look. We want a more cinematic look.
Right, that would be a pretty good camera to use,
and that's what we use it for in general. In general, if I take that camera out, it's a secondary camera. It's being used for stylized portions. It's being used for photo session stuff, romantic stuff. I'm not using it for the toast. No. I'm not using it for dancing, because trying to keep you in focus when you're moving around a dance floor.
And the light being so low.
Well, they're generally good in low light. Yeah. They're good low light cameras because they have huge chips, which is why they have a shallow depth of field. But that's the geeky stuff anyway. The reality is I think they have their place. There's a lot of top videographers that's all that they use. Yep. They generally have to have multiple cameras in order to do it. They're generally delivering short form productions. In other words, very, very highly edited pieces. If you're doing something with digital SLR, you're generally going to spend more money. If you're not, they probably don't know what they're doing, because the amount of post-production work is just immense. Because you now have to do, in order to get good audio, you have to do what's called second system audio, which is same what they do with film. They actually have to have a separate audio recorder. They have to record the audio to a separate device and then sync everything in post-production.
Sounds like a tremendous amount of work.
It's a lot of work, yeah.
And hopefully these people are being compensated well for this amount. I hope so,
because look, some of those guys create some amazing videos. Amazing videos. And if that's what you want, great. But if you're looking for something like that, expect to spend some money. Somebody who really knows what they're doing, you're not spending less than $5,000 for a wedding video for somebody who shoots on digital SLRs and does it right. Probably closer to 10.
So, we can talk about this. We can go an extra hour.
Forever.
I know, exactly.
We'll do part 2 another day.
Yeah, exactly. But right now, I always close the show out with the biggest piece of advice that you can give to a couple that are listening about wedding videography. So, Mark, you want to go first, or Pat? Mark, you go first? Okay.
My first thought is this. I think bride and grooms, when you're thinking about doing video, it might really help you to think about doing more than just the ceremony and the reception. I think it's really special to get the bride and groom getting ready. We don't do, when you do a short video for us, that's not included. And I think that's really important. I think that's extremely important. Those moments that we get now, you're not going to show anything that you're not. Everything's going to be
tasteful,
G-rated, very, very tasteful. But it's amazing what the editing can do with that video, and how wonderful and just how special that part of the video. If I would say one thing, that would be the one thing. Not enough bride and grooms think about that. I think that's important. It's those light moments in those rooms before you get married that I think you will treasure.
And those are some of the more interesting parts of the video,
right.
To be honest with you. When you have brides that actually do it, because they do. A lot of them are cutting that out now. They want you to start right when the ceremony starts. I'm like, that's like starting a movie in the second act.
Right.
You know? And I really do think that you're missing a big part of the story. Again, we're trying to tell a story. If you're going to watch a video over and over again and not just watch it once, it has to tell a story. The story doesn't start when you walk down the aisle. Simply does not.
There you go.
So you really do have to be able to tell a story.
And Pat, your biggest takeaway, what would you tell somebody?
You know what? Plan way ahead. Start saving early. And no matter what, who you choose, what style, the style of what you get is going to be up to you, how much you, but start saving early and get a video. Do not, because you know what? 20/20 hindsight's a great thing. This is a non-do-over event. You can't go back and decide you wanted a wedding video after your wedding day. It's done. It's over with. Your memories are gone. And as we know, our memories are fleeting, and we don't always remember them exactly the way they happen. Plan in advance, save the money, and get a video. Even if it's just something basic, get a video. Have those memories.
You could hand these videos off to other members of your family, your children, your great-grandchildren, and they will treasure them. They will treasure the videos.
Absolutely.
They will. Well, I want to thank my two guests for coming so far away to be with me
this is a long
today.
drive for me.
So once again, I want to thank Mark Rosenberg for being here. Thank you, Mark, so much.
You're welcome.
I also would like to thank Pat Harris, my better half of
Thank you
Sight
very
and
much.
Sound. Thank you guys so much we've been planning this. Thank you so much. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, and I love when you guys follow me and send me some tweets, it is Jody Harris, JODIHARRIS on Twitter. I also, please, if you guys have a moment, it's really, really important that you support the show by just writing us a review, rating the show. It's on iTunes, it's on YouTube. Tell a friend, whisper in their ear, tell them how great this is. If you know somebody getting married, you're an event professional, pass the word around. I am Jody Harris, CEO of Fun at Sight and Sound Events, telling you guys to make it fantastic. Until next time, bye everybody.